a pastor, 12 women, a forged ordination certificate, a child he was texting on Snapchat, and the moment he was fired, he immediately started a new church. This story is not okay. And the women involved? They're done being silent. If you're new here, this channel covers stories the mainstream media buries. In this video, we're breaking down one of the most disturbing church abuse cases to surface in 2025. And it's happening right now, in upstate New York. And the man at the center of this, Jarrod Geistdorfer, known to his congregation as Pastor J, of Owego Church of the Nazarene, a small town in the southern tier of New York. He was fired on February 1st. But the investigation behind that firing? It had been building for over a year. And the women who helped bring it to light? They're finally speaking. To understand this story, you need to know who Jarrod Geistdorfer presented himself to be. He was the lead pastor of Owego Naz. That's the Owego Church of the Nazarene. He called himself Pastor J. By all accounts, he was relatable, approachable. He made people feel welcome. One of the women who came forward, we'll call her Emma, a pseudonym used to protect her identity, described him as a spiritual leader she genuinely trusted. She was hoping his church would help her grow closer to God. Another woman, Liv, had been away from church for 6 years. She was searching for community, for faith, for someone to help guide her back to Christ. She chose Owego Naz. She chose Pastor J. Neither of them had any idea what was coming, but here's where it starts to unravel. Because behind the friendly pastor persona, there was a paper trail. And in October 2024, Nazarene district leaders got a tip that would crack everything open. His ministerial credentials? Forged. And the signatures of high-level Nazarene officials on his ordination certificate were fabricated. And it didn't stop there. He later submitted that forged document to a Virginia court as proof of his credentials. He admitted to it. But the credentials were just the beginning. Before the women came forward, before the credential fraud was exposed, there was a kiddo. On August 13, 2024, the Tioga County Sheriff's Office took a report. A kiddo had been receiving texts from Geistdorfer. He was trying to convince this kiddo, whose age and gender were redacted from official records, to move in with him and his family, without the guardian's knowledge, without the guardian's consent. The kiddo had met Geistdorfer at a church camp that summer. After that, they texted daily, on Snapchat specifically, which automatically deletes messages. In the kiddo's contact list, Geistdorfer's screen name was saved as J, with heart emojis. His texts included, "Love ya," "Have a good nap-filled night," and "You were super cute today, thanks for the note." He told the kid he was getting a room ready, clearing out a closet. He said he wanted to adopt the kid. He sent a selfie that appeared to show him in bed. Police interviewed the kiddo, who said Geistdorfer had never touched her inappropriately and that she didn't feel uncomfortable. She believed he wanted to give her a better life. Police found no evidence of a crime. The case was closed in late August. Owego Naz did not respond to questions about whether they suspended or disciplined him after the police investigation. He stayed in the pulpit. And while the police case was closed, the women were already talking. Liv, again a pseudonym, submitted a 7-page statement to Nazarene district leaders in November 2024. She requested TRR, the outlet that broke this story, not publish it in full. But what she did allow to come out is deeply disturbing. It started at a hospital. Liv and other friends, including Geistdorfer, were visiting a patient. When everyone else stepped out of the waiting room, Geistdorfer stayed. He sat next to Liv and started talking about X. He told her he believed one indiscretion in a marriage wasn't really an affair. He named another church member's husband, someone he was supposedly counseling, and disclosed that the man was having an affair. A direct breach of pastoral confidentiality. Liv told him she was uncomfortable. He kept going. She fled the hospital. It didn't end there. In January 2025, during what was described as a one-on-one business meeting, Geistdorfer again disclosed intimate details about his own sexuality to Liv, a married woman. He told her he was open to, quote, all sensual experiences. Liv describes coming to a realization. These conversations weren't random. They were calculated. She calls them predatory, a form of grooming, using vulnerability, using the sacred trust people place in a pastor, to inch closer. She left Owego Naz. She blocked him from everything. And then other victims started reaching out to her. I realize, she wrote in her statement, that I need to at least speak out about my own experience in hopes that he is somehow prevented from misusing his power under the guise of the church. Emma's story begins with a coffee shop. It was last spring. She ran into Geistdorfer while picking up an order near Binghamton. They were chatting casually, and then he reached out and rubbed her upper thigh. I was stunned, she told investigators. I was just like, I need to get out of here. She told her longtime friend Jacques O'Hearn about it immediately afterward. This is important. Corroboration. Shortly after, Geistdorfer discovered Emma runs a cleaning business. He invited her to professionally clean his house. She agreed. It was work. During the walkthrough, she didn't see his wife. He said she was working in another room. He never offered to introduce them. He noticed a new tattoo on her shin. He touched her leg again. Later, texting about payment, he asked how she'd like to be paid, and listed options like Venmo, cash, and then wrote, tattoos. When she answered simply, either way works, he replied, and I'm going to read this directly. So completely compliant, glad I stopped at those options, lol. Emma called the implication inappropriate in her statement. She declined the job. She left the church. She has since reported Geistdorfer to the state police. This is so wrong, she told investigators. This is a man I thought I could trust. Here's what makes this story especially infuriating. On January 11th, just weeks before his firing, Geistdorfer stood in his own pulpit and gave a sermon. He told his congregation that people, both locally and in New York, were, in his words, forging weapons against him, and that they had made it their mission to destroy his credibility and integrity. That sermon has since been removed from the church's YouTube channel and Facebook page. The district's January 26th meeting agenda, which was leaked, tells the other side of that story. It describes 12 women, 2 separate pastoral assignments, credible allegations with documentation, and a pastor who refused denominational accountability. The agenda also notes, we did not go looking. They came to us. And even after all of this, after the firing, after the credential fraud, after 12 women, after a police report involving a Geistdorfer immediately began working to start a new church outside the denomination. 12 women spoke. The district eventually acted. But a man who forged his credentials, whom a police report flagged for concerning behavior with a who used his pastoral platform to groom and push boundaries with vulnerable women, is now free to start over. That's the part of this story that doesn't end with a firing. If this video opened your eyes, share it. Not for the algorithm, because the next person he sits next to in a coffee shop or a hospital waiting room deserves to know his name. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.